Hi everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List, and this week will be better than the last week. I'm still stressed about like school and work and trying to read enough, but I have had a win already, so this week will be better than last week. Okay, so I mentioned that I've already had a win. It's only Tuesday. The win is that I finished reading Cat's Cradle. I had to drive to Chicago last night for a temple event, and obviously that meant that I could listen to more of my audiobook, and I finished it. So Cat's Cradle is a book by Vonnegut, and it's following our narrator, whose name we never know. And he is interested in the life of this guy named Frank Honecker, who participated in the creation of the atomic bomb. And so our narrator is like interviewing people about Honecker, and he discovers that Honecker had created this compound called Ice-9 that is very, I guess contagious is the best word, but it spreads, and Ice-9 pretty much has things like, how to describe? it turns things to ice, but because it's spread, the idea is that Ice-9 teaches, other forms of liquid, of moisture, how to form into Ice-9, so it spreads very quickly. But so there's that. We don't get to the Ice-9 part until like the end, which I don't mind saying, because like Ice-9 is mentioned in most of the blurbs, which it should be, but we really don't get to it till like the last quarter of the book. So that was a little annoying, because I think that would have been really interesting, of like, how did some people manage to survive and everything. Although I will say that like, if that had been the case, I probably would have enjoyed the book even less, because that would bring up a lot of like my anxiety about like the climate and stuff like that. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this book. It was interesting. I'm being glared at by a cat right now because I won't stop talking. It was interesting. It wasn't really for me. I did give it 3.5 stars because it was well written, although the short chapters really started to annoy me. But it was well written. I do like some of it. It was, I don't know, it was a thought exercise. So I gave it 3.5 stars. I stand by it. I can't say I would read this again, but that's okay. So yeah, there's that. That's all I really read. Yesterday was a very busy day. Today is it's So what I'm gonna do on my way to class is I'm gonna start listening to Frankenstein, because I have to have that read for my Gothic literature class. I'm also still reading The Monk, so maybe this week is gonna be like the week of Gothic, because I have to finish The Monk too. But other than that, yeah, that's about it. So those are my plans: physically reading The Monk and then starting Frankenstein today. So I will check in later. Hi everyone. So I'm sitting in a different place than where I usually film, because Bastion won't get off the cat tree. And he's on the part where I usually put my camera. That's fine. Reese wanted attention anyway, so if the camera's a little shaky, it's because Reese is pressing up against the table that I have it on. Hi, buddy. Hello. Okay. So, on Tuesday, I would say I read quite a bit. I started? Yeah, I started listening to Frankenstein. I'm now, I think, on the 10th chapter, and it has 24. So I think that's pretty good. I was a little confused at first because it started with a completely different character I've never heard of, Robert Walton, but Frankenstein is a like framed story, and so Walton is writing letters to his sister on the way to explore the Arctic, where he finds Frankenstein, who tells Walton his story, and Walton shares Frankenstein's stories with his sister, and then Frankenstein eventually like reunites with the creature, and the creature tells Frankenstein the story, which he tells Walton, which he tells his sister. So I didn't know that. I know the story of Frankenstein. I know the gist of what happens just by, living. And Frankenstein's monster being a very popular media device, I guess. My teacher brought up the Wikipedia page where we saw all the times that Frankenstein's monster had been like adapted in media, and it had 187 instances. I was like, holy crap. So Frankenstein is about this guy, Frankenstein. He is in the pursuit of knowledge, and he maybe went a little too far, and he ended up animating a collection of dead body parts that he put together. But then he becomes horrified at what he did, and he runs away for like a bit. And then when he comes back to his apartment or whatever, the creature's gone. And then he just like doesn't do anything. He doesn't go look for the creature or anything. So from that point, everything that the creature does, well, before that point, really. But everything the creature does is Frankenstein's responsibility, which he acknowledges, but he doesn't do anything to fix it. At least where I am. So that's interesting. So I don't like Frankenstein. Obviously, we're supposed to feel bad for the creature, which I definitely will. But because I'm reading this from my Gothic Lit class, there are questions that are brought up that I was like, oh, that's an interesting point. Like, yes, we're supposed to feel bad for the creature, but like, how bad should we feel? Because the creature is still doing things. And like, yes, it's because it's pushed to its limits, but it's still doing things. So it's interesting. I am enjoying it. It's a pretty easy listen. I got the audiobook that is narrated by Jamie Bell, and he's doing a great job. And I feel like the tale is distracting. It's fine. Other than that, I read 2 more sections of the Torah on Tuesday, so that got me a little bit caught up. As of now, I'm 2 sections behind, but that's fine. And then I also finished reading chapter 2 of The Monk. So I really need to step up reading The Monk, because I'm just never going to finish this book. And I have to, because I have a test due about it on Tuesday. So, yeah. I need to devote some time over the next couple of days to read it. But, like, I have to acknowledge, I think part of me is sort of avoiding it. So The Monk was written in the late 17th century, around the same time as the French Revolution. And The Monk follows this monk, Ambrosio, and essentially his downfall into sin. And yeah, it gets rough. Like, the author, Matthew Lewis, was like 1920, and there's a theory that like he went like so hard in like not only the anti-Catholicism sentiment, but also just like the violence and all that sort of stuff. He went so hard just because he was bored. And so it's very descriptive. It's very violent. It's a rough read. It's entertaining, but it's just rough. And I know that there is an assault in, I think, like chapter 11. And I think I'm going to skip it, but I don't know. This is really not the type of book that I read. It's just so... I haven't even gotten to the bad part yet. Like, he's literally just, like, engaged in, like, the catalyst for his downfall. I haven't even gotten to the really bad parts yet, but I'm just avoiding it because I know a lot of what happens. And it just doesn't get better. So I think part of me is avoiding it, but I really do need to read it. So yeah, that's all I read. So I'm gonna go to class, listen to more Frankenstein, and I will probably finish it tomorrow because I think I have like 4 hours left. And if I listen to like an hour and a half today on my drive, and then going to work, and then going to Temple tomorrow, and then coming home, like I should finish it tomorrow. But yeah, all right. Good morning, everyone. My hair looks crazy. I ended up staying up until like 2:30 in the morning yesterday. And then when Chris finally came to bed, I was literally just like, I think I'm gonna go downstairs. I think it's too hot to sleep and it's cooler downstairs. And so we both ended up sleeping on our couches. So my hair just looks crazy because of how I was sleeping. Because I wasn't sleeping on like bed pillows. I was sleeping on our throw pillows. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. I finished Frankenstein last night. That is probably the first time that I have finished all semester a book earlier than I was supposed to. Which is great because I still have to read The Monk. But I did enjoy it. Throughout listening to it, I was considering my professor's question that I think I mentioned earlier this week of like, how sorry should we feel for the creature? And by the end of it, you know what? I don't think I felt very sorry for him. Like, I get it. I get it. Rejected by society. You blame Victor, which is totally fair. But it's the whole idea of spoilers, I guess. I won't give spoilers. It's the whole idea of like blaming Victor, but then not directly punishing Victor, like looping other people into Victor's punishment that had nothing to do with it. And then constantly just being like, I was rejected by society, I was rejected by them, Victor, you know, gave me life and abandoned me, which is valid. But then like punishing innocent people connected to Vincent, connected to Victor, like that really got to me. I'm like, okay, but you're making a choice to harm other people that haven't hurt you. So that really bothered me. Like, I don't think Victor is in any way blameless. I think it's entirely on his shoulders, and therefore, like, I would have preferred it if the creature had just tried to kill Victor. Like, that would have made a lot more sense. So I did find myself frustrated by the characters. All of the characters I liked, we didn't see much. So there's that. Yeah, it is a bit rough. I did like the writing. I thought the atmosphere was great. The logic made sense to a point. Because I'm like, okay, I get it. But I think you're justifying, you're reaching a bit. So I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. Which kind of sucks because like it was my most like anticipated read. But now that I've read it, I'm not just going off of, you know, like the zeitgeist version of Frankenstein. Now I actually understand. So yeah, I'll be interested to talk about it in classes. Other than that, let's see, when was the last time I filmed? Thursday maybe? I don't know. I don't think I've read anything else. I think I've only listened to Frankenstein. So hopefully today I'll read a little bit more of The Monk. I honestly at this point I'm like, am I even going to start Insomnia this month? That would really suck. If I don't, it'll just carry over into next month because I need to read it. But what I will do while I'm still working on like The Monk and then Tales of St. Austin, which I did read. I read the first story from Tales of St. Austin, by the way. I don't get it. I don't understand why. Like, that didn't feel like a complete story. So I read the first story when I was at physical therapy. Okay. Hopefully the other ones are better and are actual stories. I did not understand it. I felt like I was missing something. I can't even tell you what it was about, honestly. It was this guy, he wasn't a very good student, and I think he skipped class to go to a cricket match. I think that's the story. I don't know. Anyway, my plan, I was originally going to listen to Mating in Captivity, but I think what I'm going to do is tomorrow when I go to work, I think I'm going to listen to The Importance of Being Earnest, because the reading of it that's on Audible that was going to get is only like 2.5 hours long, so I can listen to the whole thing tomorrow. And then next week I'll start Mating in Captivity, because I don't I really don't like starting books on Sundays and then ending the vlog. So I think that's what I'll do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go out my day and see if I actually end up reading. Okay, so here's the things that I want to accomplish today. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna listen to The Importance of Being Earnest, and I should finish it. Or I should get very close. I should be able to finish it once I get to the office. I shouldn't have that much left. And then I should probably try to, depending on how much time I have before my meetings start, I should either finish working on the assignment that's due tonight, or do some like administrative stuff for work that is due today. And then I have lunch, and so I'll continue doing either one of those. And then after work, I have to drive to Chicago for a Seder, and that should be like 40-ish minutes. So I'm going to listen to The Monk, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then go to the Seder, and then I'll listen to The Monk on the way home. I probably won't finish it, but I will read what should be the last chapter when I get home. Unless I haven't finished the assignment or my work stuff, and then I'll do that and then read. Either way, I'm planning on finishing The Monk today, because I read about 200 pages yesterday. So could I have done my assignment and my work stuff yesterday? Yes. But either way, all of this needs to get done, so it doesn't really matter what order I do it in. But yesterday I physically read probably like 4 or 5 chapters, and then I listened to a couple chapters because I knew they were chapters that I wouldn't be like highlighting or taking notes on, just because they were focusing more on like Lorenzo and Raymond rather than Ambrosio. And so I like cleaned up my library, I put laundry in, I found some stuff to keep me busy. But I have 3 chapters left. So I think that's pretty good. And I don't know if I mentioned, The Monk is essentially about this monk named Ambrosio who is about his fall from grace, essentially. Because boy does he fall. And I know one of the chapters that I will listen to today features the assault scene, which I'm not looking forward to, obviously. I haven't decided if I'm just going to skip that part or what, so I don't know. But I did make a huge chunk in it, and I am really hoping that tomorrow, when I come to wrap up the vlog, I can talk about The Importance of Being Earnest and The Monk. I think that would be amazing. But I'm gonna stop here because I have 1 bar battery. But I just wanted to do a quick check-in of the plan, and there will be some B-roll, and then I will let you know if I accomplished everything I need to. Hi everyone. Okay, this this lighting is super fun. I have my phone flashlight because I'm in the corner of my office because I wanted to charge my camera. I also wanted to show off my new shelves. So those are new, those 4 right there. And that means that I have more space for my fiction section. So there you can see the empty shelf right there. There are some books on it, but obviously not enough to fill, which means I have more room to grow, which is very exciting. But I wanted to wrap up the vlog by talking about the 2 books that I finished yesterday. So I started on my commute to work, I listened to The Importance of Being Earnest. It was a dramatization that was like, I think it was put on at like UCLA or something in, say like 2006, 2009, somewhere in there. It's a little bit, it's a little older, but that doesn't really matter because The Importance of Being Earnest is an Oscar Wilde play, so I really liked it. So The Importance of Being Earnest is about this guy, Jack, who in the country he goes by Jack, but when he's in London he calls himself Earnest, because he gets into like wild scrapes and stuff, and so when he's in the country he can say something like, oh, my younger brother Ernest got into this and I have to go save him or get him out of the situation or whatever. And he tells his friend Algernon about how he does this. And Jack mentions that he has a ward back in the country who's like 18, she's very pretty. And Algernon decides to go visit her. But he uses the name of Ernest. And so it's this... I thought it was really funny. It was very, very fast-paced. You have these 2 guys pretending to be named Ernest, and how that like impacts their relationships with these 2 women. But it's very fast paced, it was very witty, it was very funny. There were a couple times where I laughed out loud. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Honestly, it was very well done. I'm also sweaty because I just got back from personal training and physical therapy. So, but I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really great. And like I said, it was very fast. I listened to the entire thing on the drive to work. So that was very cool. And then I had a Seder last night. And so on the way there, and then on the way home, and then also on the way to class this morning, I finished listening to The Monk. So The Monk... I've talked a bit about it. I just felt like there wasn't enough in the book that appealed to me, right? Like, I like happy endings. I like fluff. I don't like dark stuff. He's gonna keep circling me. And there just wasn't enough of that, which, like, it's a gothic novel, so of course there's not going to be. But that also means that, like, I'm not gonna like it that much. Like, I liked part of the plot with this guy named Lorenzo, who was working to get his sister out of the convent because she did not want to be there. There's a whole plot with that. But I really liked him and the people involved in that plot. The whole thing with Ambrosio, who is the monk who's falling from grace, I don't care. He got what he deserved. He was a horrible, horrible person. And it's interesting because, like, the class that I'm in is the politics of British Gothic literature. So it's looking at, like, the political and historical context around these books. And so a lot of our discussion when we were reading The Monk in class was about how, like, anti-Catholic it is, and that is very obvious. Matthew Lewis was not subtle, but it seemed like he had a lot of fun writing it. So yeah, it was something. I gave it 3 stars. It was well written, even if it wasn't to my taste, but yeah, it was fine. So that's about it. But this is the first time all year that I've finished 4 books in a week. Granted, one of them was very short. But I did it. So I'm going to go because the longer I sit here, the less I like this lighting. So thank you so much if you watched the entire vlog. I really appreciate it. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.